Yeah, we can smile. Yeah.
You good?
Yeah, clap it up. Yeah.
All right, Shalom Israel. Y'all about some y'all all the brothers. Y'all about some y'all all the sisters. Brother I.S.U.P.K, the Israelite School Universal Practical Knowledge, established in 1969, 1 West 125th Street. We are led by Commander General YAHANNA. Coming live to right now from Twin Cities, Minnesota. Get ready for the fire weekend. Like, share, subscribe on Twitter, on TikTok, on Facebook, on YouTube. Spread this word across the board. You got the fire weekend coming up, July 24th, it's like 22nd to the 24th. You know, throw in that money with your people and then come kick it with your people, man. You got the Feast of First Fruits ending on the 20th, 21st, the 21st of this month also. So get in touch with your school, go to I.S.U.P.K.com, get in touch with the brothers out there and see what the agenda is going to be. If you need any travel assistance, if there's any donations you want to make, any funds requested, you know, get involved. So speaking of funds, a lot of, I think specific ones, but we still got celebrities and athletes and entertainers getting money, being charitable and all that, which sounds good. You got a lot of institutions, letting you know that, with them, you're going to prosper, you're going to gain money, you're going to be successful financially. You can make residual income and passive income and kick your feet up while everybody else is slaving. As far as that goes, I like the work that I do personally. You know, the Lord blessed me with some gifted hands, and you trying to put this to use. Now, getting money ain't nothing wrong, but there's a right and a wrong way to get money. You can't be a drug dealer. You can't be a pimp. You can't be a human trafficker. You can't be a hitman for hire. Things of that nature. That's the wrong way to make money. You sure ain't gonna pay your tithes off that either. Because if you're that selfish to where you're gonna exploit your own people or anybody else, you ain't supposed to be a drug dealer to nobody. Not to a heathen, not to your own people, nobody. We ain't criminals, man. We shouldn't have to live like that. Some of the things we're gonna get into as far as the concepts of money. Me personally, maybe I was just always too poor to enjoy it. That's always a possibility, but I like the barter system. I like helping each other out. And you still have communities that favor that. Well, I shouldn't even say favor, but they do apply it with sincerity, being earnest about it. And according to the Bible, there's a right and a wrong way, again, to make your living and what you're supposed to do with the finances. Pay your tithes is the first thing you should be doing with finances. That's right. You get that increase, you get that 10% kick, you get that increase of finances, kick that 10% into the school. They did it back then, we do it now. It's a little bit more than corn and string beans, which none of y'all are going to give anyway. So skip that. Pay your 10%. If you miss your 10%, the next time you get some money, you better pay that 15%. Be honest about this. So again, make your money if you can. Feed your family. And ain't nobody stopping you from that. Pay your bills. If you can afford a good car, no sweat, afford a good car. But also look out for your people. Like there's a thing in the Bible with charity. It's like where again, that's also tithing goes to, but also from the, so doing things like the food drives and the clothing drive established in various cities and various states. If we're able to get the 501c3 or donated goods and resources, ain't nothing wrong with that. Sometimes that does have to come out of pocket too until we get to that point. Ain't nothing wrong with that either. First scripture I want to bring up is 1 Timothy chapter 6, verses 10 through 12.
You said 10 to 12?
Okay. Money is the root of all evil. Such a famous quote from the Bible that everybody would like to immediately jump to. because they're going to say there's a contradiction, because we're going to get to a couple of them too. But again, there's nothing wrong with having money. There's nothing wrong with being financially successful, supporting your family, big house, nice cars, good clothes, all that. Just don't forget about your people.
All right, I got it for you.
I can't.
1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 10. For the love of money is the root of all evil.
And this is why, good.
Which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith.
That's why money is the root of all evil. It begins with that covetousness. Like, how would I say this? One of the first things that people will covet is, somebody else living good. It ain't really gonna be their woman first. It's gonna be the riches that they got, the resources that they got. If they got money, if they got, in some cases, if they got a flock of sheep, if they got a herd of horses or cows, cattle, things like that. If they've got a nice big house, if they got land, they're gonna want that, because they know once they get that, they'll get all the women that they covet after next. So money being the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith. You're getting distracted by you letting that run your moral compass. It's like if you could say.
Done. Which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows.
With many sorrows. Pierced themselves through with many sorrows. It sounds good in your head at first. To get this, to get that, to gain this, to gain that. You want what this brother has. She wanted what that sister has. You end up stumbling over your own 2 feet. Like, owning your own life, coveting after what somebody else has. What somebody else is good at even too. You might covet after a skill set that they put into place to make their living. And again, the root of all evil. Evil doesn't always denote like a how would I say, like a demon or just a negative spirit. Evil can be the punishment and the ill effect of that covetousness. So you might covet that so much, you might end up stalking that person. You might get your ass shot. You might covet them so much, you might want to try to rob that person. You might get your ass shot. You might covet them so much that you're going to do wicked things to try to get those gains. And you just might get your ass shot. It's a possibility that runs with that lifestyle. Like these are the evils that predominantly the Bible is talking about. It's like if you could go ahead with 11.
Verse 11. But thou, O man of God.
A man of who?
But thou, O man of God.
Of who?
O man of God.
O man of God. That's a set apart man.
You're right.
Like every other man.
Right.
You're a man of God. Good.
Flee these things and follow after righteousness, godliness, faith, love, patience, meekness.
Getting money is one thing. Don't let that throw you. Don't let that pierce you.
Right.
With sorrow. Don't let that throw evil on you. We got decency and order here. There's a right and a wrong way to do things. That would govern our interactions with anybody and everybody. This isn't just for us in Israel, but how we would act with other nations, with heathen nations. And the principles on that follow after righteousness. Men of God is who this is talking to also. Now the world, when the kingdom returns, the world will be governed under these principles also. But this is giving us the instruction on how to achieve this kingdom. So men of God, flee these things, man. Forget about that. Kill that old man. Don't partake in no sins. Follow after righteousness, godliness, kindness, faith, love, patience, meekness. Verse 12.
Come. Verse 12. Fight the fight of faith. Lay hold on eternal life, whereunto thou art called, and has professed a good profession before many witnesses.
Now that's talking about the law, statutes, commandments, and the covenant. Specifically, I would say in this case, the new covenant, because again, that which thou were called. Because we broke the old covenant. Yahushua came back to restore the covenant.
Right.
So now we got a new covenant, like this.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing about the Old and the New Testament.
Right.
The Old Testament just means the old covenant.
Right.
The New Testament is the Old Testament is just the old covenant.
Right.
The New Testament is the New Testament that we made with the Most High.
Yeah, okay.
So kind of, yeah.
And that's still what we're living under today. Now, but we'll get into the whole grace thing another time because y'all playing too much.
Right.
Y'all playing way too much with this. But also we can get to Ecclesiastes 7 and 12.
All right.
Now, because people might want to use this and say that there's a contradiction in the Bible. Because it says, it's like at first it says money is the root of all evil. So how could Ecclesiastes be saying this? It's like if you could.
Okay. Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 12. For wisdom is a defense, and money is a defense.
So now you got wisdom being a defense and money being a defense. But money is the root of all evil. Now we just broke down why money is the root of all evil. There is that context in play. What you end up doing with the money, how you treat the money, how you treat covetousness, and the evil that falls upon you for that. The evil that could be inflicted on somebody else because of your covetousness. Again, if you lusting after somebody else's wealth, you might end up hurting somebody else, one of your people, to try to gain that wealth. You might get thrown in jail. You might get shanked in prison. You can get killed on the spot by the cops. They doing it for less reasons than this. So don't sit there and act like you're just gonna get a quick come up. It don't work that way. It's like you guys.
Done. But the excellency of knowledge is that wisdom giveth life to them that have it.
There's something a little bit more important than money. Using that wisdom to get that eternal life about in 1 Timothy 6 and 6 and 12 when that part brought up. There's bigger things more important than money. It is beneficial. You can use money to do great things. Captain Yasamar in Texas bought land with money. Took a portion of that land, gave it to his brother in North Carolina. Gave it to him. Didn't charge him nothing. Donated that to that brother for the work that he's doing so that he can continue building in that work. So now, he bought property for himself also, which is nothing wrong with that. But he also gave that away. Now, he used money to do all of this. To buy property, to buy land, to build on, to build them defenses with. And I'm not talking about, an army encampment and, we're going to have cannons and, turrets and, predator drone, like not that type of defense, but a defense to protect the people. You can protect the people from the weather with clothing. You can protect the people from starvation with food. Well, clothing and a roof over their head would be nice also. Might as well throw that in there. We got enough tent cities. We need establishments. But continue.
Time. So that was it.
That was it.
Unless you want to go to verse 13.
From this, I wanted to jump to Ecclesiastes 10 and 19.
You said which one?
Ecclesiastes 10 and 19.
So I did have a precept for you.
About the set.
If you don't mind.
For Ecclesiastes 7 and 12?
Yes, yeah. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 31. Envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways. And the reason why I brought that out, because you said like pretty much don't envy somebody to the point where you do something wrong in order to try to get money.
Right.
Whether like you kill somebody, you rob, you steal, like just anything that's evil, just to get money. All right.
Because that's gonna keep on going back and forth.
Yeah.
You might have done something to somebody who got people that love him out there, or her.
Right.
They're gonna come for you, or the cops are gonna come for you.
Right.
And if they don't get you before the Lord gets to you, I mean, it's probably gonna be worse.
All right, I got it for you. Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 19. A feast is made for laughter, and wine maketh merry, but money is all things.
So now, how can that be? How can that be? A feast is made for laughter, and wine maketh merry, but money answereth all things.
Right.
So now, what's the importance of this verse? I'd like to kick up to I'd like to start off at, let's go to 16.
Verse 16.
Come.
Verse 16. Woe to thee, O land.
Now that's talking about everybody. Like wherever you got to work. Well, we're going to get into this in a second, but wherever you are, this is going to affect you. You're living on land. Maybe you're at sea or something like that. You live on a houseboat or something. Maybe this don't apply to you then, but it does. It's land is more than just the physical land. Earth and ground and things like that. It can encompass a number of different things. But go ahead.
Come. Woe to thee, O land, when thy king is a child and thy princes eat in the morning.
When you got some stupid, immature little boy of the king, and his sons are just spoiled to death. Talking about eating first in the morning. They probably jump up and get some grub before the king does. Being selfish, being arrogant, being pompous. Just everything thrown out. You got a silver spoon in your mouth. While you eating the most luxurious foods. While you got your own people out there starving. That's what this is describing. That's that mentality. That's that spirit. Again.
Come. Verse 17. Blessed art thou, O land, when the king is the son of nobles.
Now, nobles, we know to be, all right, so typically we might think of them as just like highborn people from, good stock, good families that are just, royal. That doesn't make you a good person.
Right.
That doesn't mean you have integrity. That doesn't mean that you have discipline. That doesn't mean that you would be a good leader. That doesn't mean that you have any wisdom in you. But in this sense, the nobles that we're talking about are people of a responsible nature, reputable families. Somebody with integrity.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Also too with discipline.
With the discipline, like it to be in a wealthy family, to have riches, to have authority, to have land, and to have governance over people. You have to be a disciplined individual to handle that responsibly, to do right by those people, to take care of those people, to bring justice to those people when needed, to hold it down for them people. You're gonna need discipline. Otherwise, you're just gonna be that first king that's a child. And your sons, they just gonna eat in the morning first. They just gonna take what they want and never mind everybody else.
John, I'm reading from the top one time for understanding context. Blessed art thou, O land, when thy king is the son of nobles, and thy princes eat in due season.
Salaki, if I could, real quick, just a kind of side note, like in verse 16, where it said, "Woe to thee, O land," and I had made that mention about water. So maybe that king that's a child don't really affect you. If you're living on water, you're gonna want verse 17 to apply.
Right.
So just to put that in, kind of context, like don't just throw everything, don't throw everything else out. Try to disconnect yourself from everything because it's just a negative thing that's gonna affect you. Like again, we in America. Our oppressor rules over our people. Our brothers and sisters have been oppressed for so long, they have turned to do some of the most degrading things on earth to survive, and have adapted a lifestyle by these monsters and have ran with it, ran amok with it. Now that's still my people. I do not disassociate myself from them. So you can't all well, it's like I should say you're gonna have to take some of the good with the bad too. This is the world that we live in. So if you got a rulership like that and you're tied to that ruler, you're gonna be affected negatively. You got a rulership like in 17, you're gonna be blessed by that ruler and by his works and his effort. So keep things like that in mind on who you decide to follow. Who made the general YAHANNA? The man in general YAHANNA follow Yahweh. We got to rank in order in everything that we do. For a good reason. The structure is very important in rebuilding a nation. If you don't have a solid foundation based off of what did we say back in what was it, First Timothy or the First Ecclesiastes about righteousness. And let me find that real quick. Let me just backtrack real quick. One second.
7 and 12.
7 and 12.
Okay. Ecclesiastes 7 and 12 is what you're talking about. I'm assuming.
No, it's like it. First Timothy 6 and 11. But thou, O man of God, again, talking to a specific group of people. This ain't talking about just because, like in Esdras, first and second Esdras, and it's talking about how we all come from Adam and God created us all.
Yeah. Second Esdras 6 and 54 through 57.
All right, come.
Yeah.
Preset King. But oh man of God, we're talking about a different set of people here. Flee these things and follow after righteousness, godliness, faith, love, patience, meekness. That's the king that you want. That's the ruler that you want. That's the leader that you want ahead of your army, ahead of your family, ahead of your economics, ahead of your city. That's how you're gonna get blessed in the land if you got a king that's the son of a Noah. And then if you could continue.
For strength.
If you could read right after nobles.
Nobles,
princes and
no sweat. Blessed art thou, O land, when thy king is the son of nobles, and thy princes eat in due season.
So now those princes, which are the sons of the kings or the nobles, they brought up right. They brought up in due season. So when they're born, it's time for them to wean off the mother's tit. That's that season. When they grow out of that and they get taught how to eat solid foods and they get taught how to walk, they start getting taught how to talk. They start getting taught how to run around, play games, interact with people in righteousness and in faith and in godliness. Raising up a child in the way that they should go, and they will not depart. You raise your sons up right, and daughters also. I mean, I know we're talking about princes here, but this does apply to your sons, your daughters, this, that, and the third. Raise good.
Mankind.
Because
mankind is men and women.
Right.
Right. In
so you raise them up in due season. This way, they're not going to be selfish. They're going to understand how to share. They're going to understand how to communicate. They're going to understand discipline and integrity and self-control.
Right.
And respect. They're not gonna just pop up, eat first in the morning before that man, that father, that king. He should be eating first in the morning. He should be the first one with that plate on his table. Drop it down from there. Like everybody want to harp on how important the kids are. That if you don't keep that man alive, then the kids are going to be left defenseless, and maybe even at the behest of the mercy of another wicked bastard that just wants you as the woman, don't want nothing to do with your kids. You're going to abuse them, mistreat them, molest them, rape them. We've seen this happen. There was a brother, I just saw it on Newsbreak. I can't remember if it was local, but he just got locked up. He was like 30, almost 40 years old. He had been raping his girl's daughter for like 5 years.
Yeah,
man.
yeah, I seen the
And
article.
that sister was like 12 years old at the time. Like at the end of it, when he got locked up.
Yeah.
Like, don't let that be the type of nigga you're dealing with, man. Go find you a strong brother in the UPK. Go find a reputable officer in the UPK.
That's right.
Vouch for him. Where we know the men that we labor amongst. This is where our men, women, and children can be protected and safe and free of the oppression that we've been used to out here. Now, we still got a fight on our hands, of course, because I mean, look where the hell we got. Look at what we got to deal with out here. So yeah, money helps. Pay your tithes.
Right.
That is a commandment also. Don't be stingy about it. We all going through financial constraints. It's understandable. We understand it. We get it. We're going, a lot of us, not all of us, but a lot of us are going through that with you. But it adds to the benefit of the people.
Now, I was on saying the UPK, you know, you don't hear stories about brothers touching anybody else's children.
At all.
See what I'm saying?
Ever.
Yeah.
We take that serious.
Absolutely. Like, there's no crimes in the UPK. See what I'm saying? There's nothing, you know, vile or disgusting that you're going to ever experience or see. But as far as the other groups, you're going to see all that. And how do you know? Because it comes out.
Right.
See what I'm saying? It makes the news. It's front page. See what I'm saying? So yeah, I just want to say that's a lot here.
You still got more on this though? Yeah. So we started off at all right, so then after that princes, due season.
Time. For strength and not for drunkenness.
So now again, how would I say this? Don't take those words contextually too little. It's not just talking about being strong or having, you know, strong heart or strong character or being drunk and you're stumbling about. It's talking about your spirit. They have a strong spirit. They're getting raised. It's like, and that princes eat in due season. You're getting raised up in due season for strength. So that you can be strong. You can be a strong leader. You can be a strong father, husband. You can be a strong brother. And not for drunkenness. So you ain't missing, how would I say it? So you're keeping a sober mind about things. So you're not walking around with your head in the clouds and missing the little details that could affect somebody close to you. It's like in verse 18.
Time. Verse 18, by much slothfulness, the building decayeth.
So now, if you ain't maintaining that household, if you ain't maintaining the kingdom that your people are living in, and that maintenance could come with many different tasks, education, sanitation, medical, resources, you know, keeping, you know, men and women, giving people tasks to do. You know, should everybody sitting on their behind? I'm curious what
it's like a cloud is very beautiful. You know what I mean? It's like,
Most High is an excellent artist.
Yeah, he really is.
That's a damn thing.
That's amazing. It's a lot, my bad.
And you know, there's some people that don't get a chance to enjoy that because their building is in decay right now.
That's right.
Their family is in decay right now. Their father's off on drugs or in prison or maybe dead. Maybe just running the streets being enough of being drunk. And not just physically, but spiritually drunk. You don't know where he belongs. He falling after everything, talking, you know, praying to God when he's all doped up and slept in under a dumpster on crack. Yeah.
Yeah, also too, the Bible says, I believe it's either in Timothy or Acts. I want to say it's Acts. A book of Acts where it says, don't be like a man who reads like, you know, every book. And it's, you know what I'm talking about? Like don't be a man of many books.
Making an announcement of many books.
Something like that. Yeah. Like you don't want to, you don't want to consume yourself with all these books to the point where you have too many different doctrines or religions in your mind.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like in the UPK, we say always to be closed-minded, because if you're open-minded, you're going to be open to everything. to the point where you're gonna be straight and a homosexual.
But
And there are people out here who think that you can be straight and homosexual. That's not a thing.
it's like, yes, sir.
It's either one or the other. It's a lot here. Go ahead.
Maybe we just don't get the science behind it. Maybe we're just not understanding it enough.
Yeah, it's a lot here. You got Dwayne Wade's child, who is a boy, who is not a female. His gay child says that he's a straight trans. What the hell is even that?
Straight trans. So you're still heterosexual,
but you're gay at the same time. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all.
Now, even if you're born, I believe the medical term is a hermaphrodite, where you have multiple, sex organs from male or female.
Hermaphrodite?
Hermaphrodite.
Hermaphrodite, same shit.
Same shit?
Yeah,
same shit.
Right.
Maybe, I'm sorry if I'm not getting your proper pronouns.
Right, yeah.
Not something I studied up on. But your reproductive organs are going to be one or the other. You're not going to have a uterus and testicles. You're not going to have, it's like the ovaries and testicles. You're only going to be like your reproductive organs. It's going to be one or the other. You might, we ain't got to get into all that about how you might come shaped and whatever. But if you was born a man, damn it, be a man.
Right.
Don't let your mother turn you into a woman. And don't let your father support that garbage.
Right.
Because now they rich. They got more than a little money. And look at the influence that they give out to the people because they're celebrities.
Right. Because
they got that money. They're not living in meekness or righteousness or with godliness or by the faith. They out there drunk and sloppy with it. That's not the type of influence that we should condone for our children just because they're celebrities, just because they got money. You got that are dirt poor that have more heart and integrity than that man.
Right.
I would never let that children.
Right.
That is a sick, disgusting bastard right there. Wife, his kids, because of what he let his kids go into. Now, the Lord allowed they will repent and turn. Before that young man decided to go through the surgery, he hasn't already done that, did he?
Who? Oh, no,
all right.
Not yet.
Most high in Christ. If we see ain't there yet, because that I don't know how you turn back from that.
Yeah, it's like a child can get a sex change surgery at a young age only if the guardian approves of it. Like, for example, when I was living at Target, I was training this child. See what I'm saying? I was definitely, older than her. But the whole time that I'm looking at this child, I'm thinking it's a female.
Right.
It's like, my bad. I thought it was a male child. See what I'm saying? It sounded like a boy. It looked like a boy. Everything. And I was noticing. I'm like, damn, like, this dude seems a little feminine. You see what I'm saying? And then, my cousin, she had came into the store, what I mean, always trying to use my damn discounts and stuff. So she always came into the store. It's like, what's up, cousin? I'm like, what's good? And she was like, that person that you're training is a whole female. And I was like, who you talking about? Like, I haven't been training no females. And she was like, Andre is really Andrea. I'm like, huh? And he's like, yeah, I can show you the video about this person having a whole sex change. And I'm just like, how old is that child? And she was like, she's like 15, 16. And she was adopted, right? In foster care and stuff like that. And come to find out, they agreed to, make it happen. So the whole time I'm thinking that this is a whole boy, it's a whole female. You know what I mean? And at 16 years old, this girl got a whole sex change and is a whole man now, a whole boy. And it was crazy. I was like, good night. Like that is disgusting, man. And I was like, no wonder this boy this person I'm thinking is a boy is really a female that's so feminine. You feel me? Like it was just sad, disgusting.
And then all the stories that you hear about kids and it sounds like pretty much the same thing you're saying, that getting raised up as the opposite sex.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Because their parents just wanted to do that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what's wrong with them. Our oppressor is the goddamn devil what the Bible speaks about.
That's right.
It's
It's a like you. I understood why the foster parents or the adopted parents accepted it more because they were Esau. They were devils. See what I'm saying? Otherwise, the real parents were drug addicts that were, you know, Judites.
Yeah, so now you gotta have compassion on that poor soul who's been through so much. And now you just gotta feed them with whatever they want that's gonna make them feel better about.
Right.
Yeah. No, listen, like, you know, sometimes we gonna have to suffer through this, man. Gold is tried in the fight.
Right.
Like, we ain't gonna come out of this unscathed unless we fight through it. It's okay to take some scars. It's okay to take some hits. You come in here, I tell you what, you ain't alone with it.
Right.
We all scarred up. And it's a beautiful thing in the Lord's eyes. Beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
If we could get to where is it? Deuteronomy 23. Deuteronomy 23, verses 19 and 20. And again, the way that we treat each other, you know, it's not the way that they would want us. Let me rephrase that. The way that we're supposed to treat each other, according to our culture and our laws, is not the way that they want us to treat each other here in society. They want us to be animals to each other. What do they say? Like, let the animals kill themselves. You know, when we're out there gang banging and selling drugs and things like that, robbing from each other, they just saying, let the animals kill themselves. And then they'll pick up the roadkill, you know, when all the bodies are dropped.
Right.
That's how they would rather us treat each other. Each other a little bit different. So when it comes to money, like, listen, we might have problems. And that's up to them with.
All right.
After this
18. Okay, no sweat. Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 19. Not lend upon usury.
Let's look up what usury means real quick. In the Merriam-Webster's Collegiate Dictionary. Go see what they're talking about. No, right. Just want to give them the actual definition so they can't say that this is conjecture or we're taking it out of context.
Right.
We're going to get the definition because you don't mind doing a little bit of studying. You like to read. Sorry, 1 second. All right. Usury. 1. Archaic. Interest. So now if we're going to go back and forth and look up what the word interest is, I think most people understand what interest is. Like the brother had said, if you borrow me 20, I got to pay you back 30 because of the interest, you know, the tax that's added on to it.
Right.
2, the lending of money with an interest charged for its use, especially the lending of money that exorbitant interest, the lending of money at exorbitant interest rates. So now again, that mirrors the first definition that they gave, but they kind of elaborate on it a little bit more, saying, listen, if I give you $5 today, you got to give me $20 next week because I'm giving you something right now that you don't have. So now when you finally get something, you got to pay me 3, 4, 5 times as much. That is not brotherly.
Right.
3, in a constable or exorbitant rate or amount of interest, specifically interest in excess of a legal rate charged to a borrower for the use of money. So now there are certain laws. I mean, in this country, you can take that with a grain of salt, that protect people from being charged certain interest rates. And that's, you're going to find that in a lot of corporations with banks, with lending services, things like that. You know, they got fixed rates. Mortgages, if you got to take another mortgage out on your house, or if you finance a car, things like that, that they're supposed to be, you know, set limit to. And for the most part, that is abided by. I haven't really seen any too many like major issues where corporations have been found to really, step on people's toes like that. But again, this is America, so there's always a loophole. If you're in a contract with them, there's some of that fine print. Like, you better read everything that you get. Anytime you make a business deal with somebody, you better read all that fine print. And I know, the fine print that they got, I mean, that could go on for days. Nobody wants to spend, like, most of the time we're just gonna hit accept. Just because you don't want to sit there for the next hour and a half just reading, tiny ass little letters. Even if you blow that thing up, that might even take you longer, because now you got to, move your screen back and forth and try to follow along. You got to turn the pages. But just be smart about it. Educate yourself on some of these topics, just so that you don't get taken advantage of, because they are trying to take advantage of us. They are vultures out there, and they see how undisciplined we have been as a people, and how unprotected we have been as a people, and they think that they can just start plucking away. You got some brothers over here in the Commanding General YAHANNA that ain't gonna let that happen to you.
Right.
You got brothers and sisters with degrees in many different in many different studies. You got brothers and sisters that have trades in many different demographics. You got brothers and sisters who are educators. And even if they do say, listen, we're going to do a seminar asking for a $20 donation, especially if they in the U.P.K, listen, man, pay that $20.
Right.
Jump into class with them if that has interest to you. And it could be a number of different things, from litigation to first aid to mechanics. Some of the things that we're going to go into on our podcast once we get this thing going. Sorry.
Shout out to you.
I don't want to. But we're gonna bring elements of different educational sources that you can tap into.
Right.
From some of the basic things that kind of everybody should know about first aid, about changing your tire, about chemicals and disinfectants and things like that. Just so, like, when you go into the store, you're getting the most for your dollar.
Mm-hmm.
You're not spending it foolishly, and building a network with people not only within the school but in the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American community to support our businesses. Because again, we got the skill set over here. Our people in our community, whether or not you're in the school, we have the skill set necessary and profitable to help make each other successful. We've got great services out there. And again, they come in many different ways. You got brothers and sisters that make clothing, that can do hair. We got a sister that makes wigs. So, like, sis, what's the name of your website? It's fresh. It's very fresh. Under construction, but stay tuned. Get ready for it. It's gonna come out there. And again, we're local. We're family men and women. Yes.
Support Black businesses.
Damn right. Damn right. Support your Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian businesses. Go get you some tacos. Go get you some cowboy boots and a big old dumbass sombrero. You know what I'm saying? Like that brother that they kicked off. I don't know if you heard about that story. We had this Mexican brother who was graduating, but he walked across the stage with a Mexican flag. Yeah. And them bastards didn't give him his diploma.
Yeah, that devil bitch, Salaki.
For real.
She was a bitch.
For real.
She took away his diploma because of that shit.
When we live in America,
I saw the video.
Supposed to be able to express.
Yeah, I saw that video.
I thought America loved Mexicans.
That's what I'm saying.
I thought America loved Mexicans. I thought that's what all the elections was about. Ain't that kind of what they were saying? During damn near any election? We love Black people. We love Mexicans. They didn't say shit about how they loved Asians until, somebody got whooped, and now they got their own bill passed for them. I mean, it's crazy out there. But in Deuteronomy 23, verses 19 through 20, Thou shalt not lend upon usury to thy brother. So we just read about what usury is. It's a certain amount of interest after, lending money to somebody. $5, and I'm telling you, you got to give me back 20. That is usury. But now it's also saying to thy brother. So I can't let.
Right.
But if you want to do that to Yao Ming,
Right. Cool.
absolutely, absolutely, you got more than enough money to spare. Usury of money, usury of victuals. Let's look up victuals. You got the Zondervan. Salaki, 1 second. You got the Zondervan right here. I'm sure it's in Miriam also, but I just want to switch it up. Usury of money and the usury of victuals. So it's starting to get, pretty specific. What you can and cannot do with that money, with them dollars. You still gotta be brotherly. I don't care how much money you got. All right, so in the Zondervan's Pictorial Bible Dictionary on page 880 at the very bottom, it says victual, see food. So now this is telling us that it has something to do with grub. Again, them string beans and that corn that y'all want to kick in for tithes, we ain't seen it yet. I ain't seen a squash. I ain't seen a cucumber. We ain't seen a potato. We ain't seen a pumpkin or watermelon. Nothing. Nothing. But y'all think tithes is corn and food. Nigga, ain't none of you farmers either. You ain't even got a cheese pet. You got it? Yeah? That's what's up. What do you grow? Found it. Tomatoes right there. And that's some of the best, isn't it? When it's nice and fresh. Man, and you ain't gotta pay nobody out the pocket for it. They be doing some crazy, like even in their pricing of foods is damn near usury. Because then you got the taxes on top of that too. All right, let's see. Wow, they got all right. So the food section is pretty generous. Trying to see where they come into the topic of usury. We're gonna have to skip this just for time's sake, but if you do have a Zondervan Bible Dictionary, all right, no, so if you do have a Zondervan Bible Dictionary, look up victuals, it'll go to food. I'm just trying to skim through real quick. I'm not seeing where it ties into that. Let's see what the Merriam-Webster Dictionary got to say about this to compare. So now they're saying usury with food. So if I give you a bushel of apples, I can't tell you to give me back 3 bushels of apples. Okay. I can only tell you would only be responsible to pay me back for 1 bushel. Now, we do accept donations. So if you got 2 extra bushels, you want to toss them in, I don't think anybody's gonna turn that down. Or if you want to kick in some venison, or things like that, it ain't. Or the trade could be different too. I might be like, listen, you need some apples. I got an orchard. I'm gonna give you, a couple baskets of it. You live on a lake. You got a bunch of fish around you. I'll trade you this many apples or this many bundles of apples for this many fish. And then that's exactly what it would be. If I say I'm gonna give you 3 baskets of apples for a dozen fish, that's all it's gonna be. That's all you would be expected to pay back. When it's talking about victuals. If that's primarily what they're getting into in the Zondervan as far as food goes. Whether it comes to money, food, or what's the last one that they mentioned? Usury of anything that is lent upon usury. usury of anything that is lent upon usury. So basically, that's just kind of reiterating the point. You can't lend something based on usury to a brother. It could be a book. You can't be like, listen, I'm gonna give you this book for 10 days, and then after 10 days, if you don't bring it back, you owe me, or no, on that 10th day, I should say, you owe me this, that. There should be an agreement made out. Listen, I need this on the 10th day. If you don't get it back to me on the 10th day, that like you might have to kick in something for that. But if you come back with on the 10th day, that's it. Like that was damn near payment, just returning the book on the 10th day. Shout out to the library. All right, so in here in the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, Collegiate Dictionary. So they start off with victuals. Victuals of nourishment, way of living. Food usable by people, supplies of food, aka provisions. To supply with food. All right, so they're also giving it a verbal, or putting in a verb tense, supplying somebody with food, or eating, or to lay in provision. So yeah, so a means to make it is essentially what victuals is going to be, which could also include if it's cold out and you need a jacket, but to sustain a healthy course of life. So thou shalt not lend upon usury to thy brother, usury of money, usury of victuals, usury of anything that is lent upon usury. So again, that last part, that's just kind of a generalization. Verse 20 though, to a stranger, this is where the law changes. You see, they ain't talking about brother no more, they're talking about a stranger. Now there are verses, depending on the context, where that stranger could be a brother, could be a sojourner. But again, you got to understand the context. You got to, if you want to get taught right, you come to the school. If you want to join a book club, there's plenty of them out there. And they all wear matching clothing too. So I mean, that might be cool for some people. Verse 20, unto a stranger thou mayst lend upon usury, but unto thy brother thou shalt not lend upon usury. So again, to somebody that ain't part of this nation, you can lend upon usury. Now, that doesn't just mean like if you're not in the U.P.K, if you're outside the truth, I can lend you upon usury. If you're still a brother or sister, I can't do that to you. As much as I might not like you, like we might not get along at all. But if we make a business deal, I cannot treat you unbrotherly by charging you extra for goods or services. But I can do that to anybody else outside this nation. That's lawful.
Right.
It's not a law that you have to do it, but it's not against the law if you do it. I would still say make wise decisions doing business with anybody. But unto thy brother thou shalt not lend upon usury, that the Most High thy power may bless thee in all that thou settest thine hand to in the land whither thou goest to possess it. So now this is also getting into sorry, one second. All right, so just being wise about it. So we read earlier in, I believe, Ecclesiastes 10 and 19 about how wisdom and knowledge, keep you alive. Being smart in your business deals, using that wisdom and knowledge to apply to economics and commerce, that will, and especially if you following the Lord's commandments while you're doing this, you're going to be in the Lord's favor. Like he's going to protect you. Like when we were in Egypt, we multiplied so vastly in our herds and our flocks and our our garden, like the things that we put our hands to was blessed, and we were abundant with it. The Most High protected us. He guided us with it because we were keeping these laws, statutes, and commandments. Actually, Slack, that didn't come in. Slack, I'm just going. That didn't come in until after we had fled from Egypt. Maybe I was thinking when Joseph went in.
What are you talking about?
So in verse 20, again, we're getting into usury. Unto a stranger thou mayest lend upon usury, but unto thy brother thou shalt not lend upon usury, that the Most High thy power may bless thee in all that thou settest thine hand to in the land whither thou goest to possess it.
Okay.
So again, following these laws, statutes, commandments, just to keep it plain and simple. The Lord will be with you. Your endeavors will be blessed. It'll be, I don't want to use kind of cliche terms like you know, the Lord will smile upon you and the sun will shine upon you,
Right.
all that, but you'll have a good goal. This would segue into Matthew 18.
Right there.
Hmm?
I got a gift right there.
Mhm.
I want to take that too.
And actually, it's like I'm gonna finish this one off with a 21. So Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 21. When thou shalt vow unto the Most High thy power, thou shalt not slack to pay it. For the Lord thy power will surely require it of thee, and it would be sin in thee.
Right.
I mean, you take this oath. You take your name, for example. When you get your name, you're taking an oath. You take that officer's test. You're taking an oath. You say them prayers. You're taking an oath. You don't pay that up to him. You're like he ain't how would I say it? He ain't taxing you with usury. Because when you take this oath, you're putting your life on it.
Right.
The same way that Yahweh Shai had given his life for us. The same way that the Most High have blessed us with that life to begin with. You're putting your life at stake when you take that vow. You don't pay that back, you'll be counted in sin. And we all know what sin leads to.
Right. Definitely.
All right, let's get Matthew 18 back.
Okay.
18 starting at 20.
Let's put that down.
Okay. Matthew 18:20.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, when we talk about them kings that you serving all these celebrities, all these political parties, all these athletes and entertainers, you know, too many people put too much faith and stock into them, into their character, into their judgment,
Right.
into their pockets.
Right.
And then, you know, financial institutions like, all right, so Bitcoin, for example, cryptocurrencies, Forex trading. If you can make money off it, that's fine. That's fine. But a lot of people don't really know who else they can be feeding with that money. The one argument that I got into with this one brother about crypto Forex trading and the specific group that he was with, which I guess was supposed to be black owned, which again, we ain't mad at. But when you try to dig deeper into it, like with a lot of those, they try to say Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, things like that, and the currency exchange trade businesses, it's not owned by anybody or anything. It's got unlimited.
Yeah.
It's got unlimited reach. Nothing can affect it. Okay.
Of course, it is owned by.
Of course, it's owned by somebody.
Yeah, somebody. Yeah.
Somebody owns the website or the whatever trading that's running.
Yeah.
Somebody owns the stock that you're investing in. And then to say that currency will never like money's always going to be around, or you know, stop fluctuating. So no sweat. So say the yen is the currency to back right now because that's worth the most. You're feeding China. You're feeding China financially, knowing that they want to wage war against America. Now, I could give a damn about America.
Right.
I just happen to live in the United States, though.
Right.
So whatever they end up doing could potentially affect myself and my loved ones.
Right.
Because we live in this house.
Right.
So now we say the yen is the one to go for, because that's worth the most, and you can get more bang for your buck when you trade them back and forth. So now you feeding China their government, their economy, their military, knowing that they want to wage war against this country. They don't give a shit about us. They don't care about Twin Cities.
Right.
They don't give a shit about the south side of Milwaukee, the west side of Chicago. They don't care about Flint, Michigan, and their water situation. They don't care about the reservation, what pipeline they're trying to put in next. So now we're just going to pool our money with everybody else, feeding other nations.
Mm-hmm.
Now, no, so you could make some money off of it. I understand. I ain't got no problem with that. But who's to say when they decide to pull the plug on something?
Right.
Who's to say that this system could never crash? Now, initially, that was their claim. You cannot crash this system.
Right.
If that superpower decides to take everything over, you think that the lira is still going to be in effect? Or the ruble? Or the American dollar is still going to be in effect? A global superpower comes into play? Their currency used.
Right.
There ain't going to be no more forex trading. Every coin you got, every dollar you got, every note, every what have you is gonna have dude's face on it,
Mm-hmm.
which is something that we're gonna read right now. Bible shop.
Come. Matthew chapter 18, verse 20. For where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them. Verse 21. Then came Peter to him and said, Lord, how oft shall my brother sin against me, and I forgive him? Till 7 times? Verse 22. Yahushua saith unto him, I say not unto thee, unto 7 times, but unto 70 times 7. Therefore is the kingdom of heaven likened unto a certain king, which would take account of his servants. Keep going. It's down more. I got you.
I'm in 22, Matthew 22.
Okay, are you trying to you get the one that's?
Oh no, yeah, my fault. I ran ahead to the next one. You
yeah.
No, yeah. Let me get there with you.
Yeah, no sweat.
All right, ain't to close that page. So, Lucky, bear with me 1 second.
I would start at verse 23, honestly.
Yeah, so let's get it from there and about this.
No sweat. All right. Matthew chapter 18, verse 23. Therefore is the kingdom of heaven likened unto a certain king.
So now we can make a comparison here. Now, pay attention, guys.
Which would take account of his servants.
Now this ain't like that childish king that we was talking about earlier. Yeah.
Time. Verse 24. And when he had begun to reckon, one was brought unto him, which owed him 10,000 talents. But for as much as he had not to pay, his Lord commanded him to be sold, and his wife and children, and all that he had, and payment to be made. Verse 26. The servant therefore fell down and worshiped him, saying, Lord, have patience with me, and I will pay thee all. Verse 27. Then the Lord of that servant was moved with compassion, and loosed him, and forgave him his debt.
So now if we look at verse 25, for example.
Right.
For as much as he had not to pay, so he had no way to pay back the debt that he owed his master.
Right.
So his master said, listen, I'm going to sell you off then. You ain't going to be under my house no more. You ain't going to be one of my servants. Your wife, your children, your whole family. Y'all gonna be cut off.
Right.
Because you couldn't pay.
Right.
And all that he had, payment to be made. So that because now you ain't my problem anymore. I got money for you. Whatever. Now the servant didn't want to leave the house. Master, no, like no. I'm going to pay you back. He said, patience with me. Show me a little grace. Verse 27, the Lord of that servant was moved with compassion and loosed him and forgave him the debt. That man tried to repent. He repented, actually. He didn't try to. At this stage, he had repented. And that master forgave him, released him of his debt, took him back in.
Keep going. Verse 28. But the same servant went out.
That same brother who had owed his master and was forgiven of his debt, he went out.
And found one of his fellow servants.
In this case, lucky, because he's a servant, he found one of his fellow servants. They're the same people. Good?
Which owed him in 100 pence.
Now, I believe the servant had initially owed him, his master, 10,000 talents. That's a hell of a lot more than a little bit more than 100 pence.
Right.
If we were to, we could look this up too. But if you do the
math,
the what's the word I'm looking for? The conversion, between talents and pence, and you look at 10,000 talents versus 100 pence.
Right.
It'll there's a big difference there. This servant owed his master something great. This other fellow servant, probably just as poor, if not poorer than him, owes him 100 pence. Now let's see what this brother did with it.
Chill out 1 second.
Yeah. This is why we got laws of brotherhood. But if you keep the laws of the Most High, you got one God, you got one power. That's gonna trickle down, and you're not gonna do idol worship. You're not gonna break dietary laws. You're not gonna celebrate pagan holidays, because the Most High gave us traditions. He gave us customs. He gave us things to stand on, wars that were won. Again, if you look at all these holidays today, they're all about somebody else doing some vile, wicked things. If you look at the roots of their holidays, it's all covered in blood and filthy and nasty. You look at all our holy days, it's about us getting free. It's about us getting justice and liberation and independence, and brotherhood,
right,
and sisterhood,
right,
providing for one another,
right,
missing each other. At the pastor, we ain't seen some of them brothers for some years, because the last one got skipped because of the pandemic. We couldn't go nowhere.
2 years.
2 years, so that's 2 years we missed each other. Brothers that we ain't seen for a minute. Sisters that we ain't seen for a minute. So at that Passover, we got to remember the struggles that our people went through, the hell that we went through.
Right.
The power of our Father.
Right.
The gift that he gave us by paying that little bit of attention to us, to give us some law, statutes, commandments, something solid to stand on, something that you can trust in, that you can lean on, that you can build with, that you can hold yourself set apart from all these other devils with, because they don't have that ingrained in them. We got that spirit. So now this brother who was given that gift of forgiveness when he didn't have to, he owed his master. His master had every right to just let him go and not protect him no more. Sell him off to somebody else. God knows what that beast would have done to him. It's not his problem no more. He could have done that. His master chose to forgive him. This brother goes out, finds another brother. And this is the context in the parable. He finds another brother, another fellow servant that owed him money. And what did this nigga do? If you could.
Okay. Verse 28. But the same servant went out and found one of his fellow servants, which owed him 100 pence, and he laid hands on him.
You laid hands on him. What's that sound like today? What does that sound like today? How do we say that today?
I'll put my paws on you,
Put
or
my paws on
yeah,
you.
or otherwise, I'll put my hands on you.
Yeah, put my hands on you.
Yeah,
It's the same mindset. It's the same lingo. This is it's a damn shame, but this was us too. We're finding ourselves doing it to this very day in the same manner. Because you might be poor and you might owe a great debt that you couldn't pay off. And because of that depression and humiliation of being forgiven of that great debt that you could not pay, that act of kindness, you turn your back on your own people. You're going to put your hands on your own people to try to get that little bit of money back so you can feel better about not having had anything to give to your master. That's selfish. And that is against the law.
right,
And that is not how we're supposed to act, man. Again, we ain't no criminals, man.
right,
We ain't supposed to be treating each other like this. It's okay to be masculine. It's okay to be a soldier. It's okay to be a warrior. But don't use that power to turn on your own people.
right.
Especially if you're the bigger man and he's, the strong little short dude or something. Don't sit to go around bullying somebody. Bullies get shot too.
Right.
Little people get shot, old people get shot, kids get shot, big niggas get shot too.
Yeah.
It's like, if you could finish,
Done. And he laid hands on him
hands on him.
and took him by the throat, saying, "Pay me that thou owest."
Say, give me my money. Violently. The master didn't treat him like that, but he gonna treat his brother like that.
Right.
This kind of reminds me of how Judah would have treated Ephraim.
Oh, God. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. Verse 29.
Verse 29. And his fellow servant fell down at his feet
The same way that he fell down at his master's feet, begging forgiveness, guys.
and besought him, saying, "Have patience with me, and I will pay thee all."
For that 100 pence, he owed that dude 10,000 talents. But for 100 pence, he go thrashing his brother for that little bit of money.
Right.
Money is not our issue.
Right.
My brother was just trying to get a couple of bucks off him. Money is not the issue. Money is not going to save us.
Right.
Brotherhood is going to save us.
Right.
Because look at what we're doing out here to each other, man.
That's right.
Our Father is going to save us. If we pay back that debt that we owe him, keep that vow that we was just talking about in Salakia. Let me, damn, what I put it. In Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 21. When thou shalt vow a vow unto the Most High thy power, thou shalt not slack to pay it. This servant was slacking to pay. For the Lord thy God will surely require it of thee, and it would be sin in thee. But if thou shalt forbear to vow, it shall be no sin in thee. Now he was begging, groveling to his master. I'll pay you back. I ain't got it right now. Have patience with me. He was just asking for a little bit of time to pay it back. The brother got forgiven. And it showed that it gave him the chance to not have sin on him. Because he was making a vow. He was expected to follow through with that vow. He was swearing, he was vowing that he will not slack to pay. And now we fast forward. to this joint. But that same servant, that same poor brother in the ghetto, went out, found another poor brother in the ghetto, serving another master, owed him a couple bucks on maybe a dice game. Maybe he was playing dominoes, he lost on something, but playing spades or playing ball or something. Owed him a debt. This bastard put hands on him Yoked him up. His brother fell down at his feet, besought him, saying, "Have patience with me, and I will pay thee all." The same way that he did to his master, this brother did to him, as if he was his master. When he wasn't no better, he was on the same slate. Verse 30.
Verse 30. And he would not, but went and cast him into prison, so he should pay the debt.
So he the forgiveness that he was showing after the vow that he broke. Another brother was trying to make the same vow to him. And because he's struggling and striving, or because he felt embarrassed and proud, he wanted to humiliate that brother. He wanted to punish that brother.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it, the spirit behind this shame, it is embarrassment. It's also covetousness. These are things that can get people killed. That evil that we was talking about reading First Timothy got that man locked up until you should be able to pay his debt. Now same thing with child support. That woman want to get you locked up until you sit your debt off. I can't remember. I don't know what it is up here, but I think every week, could be either a week or every other week that you spend in jail was worth like $300-400. And I mean, no, it couldn't be that. Maybe every month. Could have been every month. I got to double check on that.
You're talking about as far as the Midwest?
Yeah, it's as far as Wisconsin. Right?
Wisconsin,
as far as I remember. And everybody's saying, you can't get locked up for not paying child support.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I've seen the paperwork, like brothers were getting locked up.
I think that's everywhere.
They may have had some other charges on their ticket too, but you can still get locked up for child support. They'll still hit you with that.
Right. So
I mean, if you 7-8 grand deep, that's gonna take a little while to pay off. You're gonna be sitting for a minute. And then when you come out, you ain't got no job.
Okay.
You might not have no house. The woman probably left you. The kids don't forgot about you.
Mm-hmm.
All your friends put down on you.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be begging for a second chance. And then that same brother who got you locked up probably gonna be looking for you too. Like, I know this nigga out now. Like, you got my money yet? Tell me that don't happen.
Yeah. It's 19.
All right, come on. All right, so to wrap it up then real quick, Matthew 22, 20. We'll close out with this. What I put you?
Matthew chapter 22, verse 20. What, 22 and 20 or 22 and 2?
20.
Okay. Matthew 22 and 20. And he saith unto them, who is this image?
Who is this image on this coin that he had?
And who is this image and superscription?
So that's how to say that. That's representative of the authority, the ruling power.
Right.
Who is this image? Right now, like on a dollar bill, you got George Washington, but what does George Washington represent? America. And the inscription, God bless America.
Right.
It's showing you whose country this is, whose rulership this is under, whose people it's talking about. So I can get it.
John, verse 21. They say unto him, Caesar's.
Joe Biden, Donald Trump,
Right.
Thomas Jefferson, Andrew Jackson. What's that other homosexual name?
Thomas Edison.
Thomas Edison. All of them and their moms.
Abraham Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln.
Right. Oh,
Ben Franklin.
It's like Clinton.
Clintons.
Yeah. Oh, it's like
the Bushes.
Ronald Reagan.
Nixon.
Verse 21, they say unto him, Caesar's. Then saith he unto them, render therefore unto Caesar the things which are
Because
Caesar's.
they was asking about taxes. It's such a stupid argument to bring up. Look at where they're living. If you don't want to go to jail because of the authority and the laws that that ruling power has set, you're gonna pay those taxes.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with paying that tribute in the land that you do not control in order to stay out of jail. Ain't nothing wrong with not going to jail. You can still be a real nigga out here in the free world, paying your taxes. Instead, you know, otherwise you got to look over your shoulder, you know, for whoever's gonna rat you out or lock you up. So he's saying, listen, you see the face, you see the inscription on this coin. Who does that belong to? Caesar. Okay, so this must be where we're living. So render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's. That was his edict to enforce the taxes. So he said, listen, all right, so do that then. But here's the heavy point.
And unto God the things that are God's.
So now, if you were an Israelite, you God's first. You that chosen people. You that fellow servant that made a vow that we ain't been paying back on, right? We've still been forgiven. We need to give our love, our energy, our effort to the Most High. Now, again, we living in America. Don't give two damns about America. I may be one of the most unpatriotic brothers in the U.P.K, and that's a competition.
Right.
I gotta be more unpatriotic than I But
challenge accepted.
Don't sound right. And still, again, we live in this land. We gotta work a 9 to 5. Even if you're self-employed, you still gotta pay taxes. You still have to shop and network and do commerce and balance your economics with these other nations. And again, there's no problem with that. That's not the money is the root of all evil that we're talking about. But we do got to do the things that we got to do to survive. But you can't do it being foolish, being drunk. And again, I'm using this in the spiritual sense. Because the princes were trained up, or it's like were brought up, or they would eat in season, in due season, for strength, not drunkenness. So don't be stupid about the things that you're doing out here. Money is a useful tool. It is a defense. The same way that wisdom is a defense. Wisdom is going to keep us alive, though. Money don't mean that you're going to stay alive. Who was that brother? Lamar Odom died in a trap house.
No. He had overdose.
He had overdose,
but he's still alive.
Okay,
he had overdose behind Khloe Kardashian.
And he got money.
Yeah,
that brother got money. And we hear so many stories that are similar to this, not only with celebrities, but with other successful entrepreneurs or black Hispanic and Native Indian business owners. That's not gonna, and again, but money answereth all things. That's not talking about that's gonna be the solution to every problem either.
right.
It was talking about like the feast and keeping the house maintained. It's gonna solve issues like that. If your house is falling apart, you can use that money and that wealth that you got to rebuild your house if you need to.
Right.
So it's like that was the end of it.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And just finish off. When they heard these words, they marveled and left them and went their way. They shut up and they just moved on to try to concoct another punishment to try to trip him off, and they never could because he was a G. He used that wisdom that was imparted on him by his father.
Right.
That he was teaching to his brothers. That he to Paul and Peter and all them. That handed that down. that taught Abba that taught Commanding General YAHANNA, that taught all the generals and captains and officers all the way on down to while we teaching the troopers and the brothers and the sisters. So with that, Israel, pay your tithes. Midwest Fire Weekend. Go look it up. I.S.U.P.K.com. So long. And with that, I'm gonna keep the table and pass it back over to me, my ball hog. I.S.U.P.K. security announcements. We are the I.S.U.P.K. started out on 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shut themselves in the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. You can find it in Numbers chapter 18, verse 21, and Malachi chapter 3, verses 8 through 10. Means tenth in the Hebrew. Ma'ashor. 10% of every penny of any increase the Most High gives you, give to the Treasury Department and teacher. Priest fund. Free will offering for priests. Not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like. So now you can still go to I.S.U.P.K.com, scroll down to the donate now button. You can pay your tithes and make donations that way. If you have the Zelle Cash app or the Zelle app, first name Israelite School, last name UPK, email at tithes@ISUPK.com. Also, $ UPK Minnesota if you want to make any donations to Twin Cities region. Well, this gets into the next one. Upcoming holy convocations. We got the Feast of First Fruits.
Yep, it's going to be June 21st, sundown.
So at sundown, again, get in contact with the school near you at SUPK.com. Scroll down to the contacts page. Find the school near you, get up with them, and see what the agenda is. Also, the Midwest Fire Weekend. Midwest Fire Weekend, July 22nd to the 24th. You know, kick your funds into. We also have a GoFundMe going on. It's advertised on Facebook,
YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, etc.
You know, throw in with your people and then come throw down with your people.
Right.
Israelites only.
That's
Israelites
right.
only.
That's right.
This is a family thing. And this isn't a holy day. It's something that we take pride in. And we got the Midwest Modern Mayhem. Captain Marco, our big priest.
That's right.
We're gonna have Commanding General YAHANNA there. We're gonna have the class. We're gonna have the camp. Great food, great environment. Sister, let's go. Any brother wants to be a trooper in the school, start wearing all black. That means your boots, your shirt, your pant, your headband, and or scarf. And with that, Panyakudam, which means rise, turn, face east. You say the Lord's Prayer in Hebrew. You can find it in Matthew chapter 6, verses 8 through 13. Abinawa. Shabbat Shemayim. Kodash. Hayah. Shamka. Yahweh. Malakwaka. Tabarak. Zaka. Hayah. Aisha. Barakaza. Kawa. Hayah. Bashamayim. The Thun. Lakam. Kov. Yavam. Wasalakina. Kabawakina. Wasalakina. Wala'ah. Kabiyana. Bansawon. Abo. Abashana. Mayan. Right. Kaya. Laka. Kamalakwa. Wa'ala. Wa'atapara. La'alam. Aman.
The Lord's Prayer in the English. Our Father,
Our Father,
which art in heaven,
which art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name.
hallowed be thy name.
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
thy kingdom
thy
come,
kingdom come,
thy will be
thy
done
will be done
in earth
in earth
as it is in heaven.
as it is in heaven.
Give us this day
Give us this
our
day
daily
our
bread,
daily
and
bread,
forgive us of our
and
debts,
forgive us of our
as
debts,
we forgive our debtors,
as we forgive our
and lead
debtors,
us not into temptation,
and lead us not into temptation,
but deliver us from evil.
but deliver us from
For
evil.
thine is the kingdom,
For thine is the kingdom,
and the power,
and the
and
power,
the glory,
and the glory,
forever.
forever.
So be it.
So be it.
Amen.
Amen. Pray to bless Israel in the Hebrew. Y.A.H.N.Na.
YAHANNA,
Barakana.
YAHANNA,
Y.A.H.N.Na.
YAHANNA,
Wahabayat.
YAHANNA,
Sapar.
Sapari,
Barak.
Barak,
Rafa'ah.
Rafa'ah,
Magan.
Magun,
Hagan.
Magun.
This time you can say the name of loved one once. Everyone repeats that name once.
This is for everybody on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, etc. If you want to pray for a loved one, you type it into the chat. We will repeat. All right. Anybody in the room, go ahead and start.
Israelite School U.P.K.
Israelite School, Y.A.H.N.Na.
Benjamin.
Benjamin,
Jamie.
Whitney,
Whitney. Anna Lee.
Anna Lee,
McIntosh family.
McIntosh family,
Raphael.
Raphael,
Young man B.
Young Man B,
Azariah.
Zaria,
Kaya.
Kaya, Rapaya Allah,
Rapaya.
Bar
Barma.
U.P.K,
Israelite School U.P.K.
I.S.U.P.K, Minnesota,
Soul.
Dwayne,
Dwayne.
Amungabal,
Bumbar.
Kanagabal, Padasayan,
Dasayan.
Sarak,
Sarak.
Allah,
Allah.
Micaiah,
Micaiah.
Micaiah,
Maccabia.
Micaiah, the Rollins
The
family,
Rollins family.
Paulette,
Paulette.
Yapar
The Pawaka.
Kawana,
Kawana.
Azara,
Azar.
Sataria Allah,
Sataryal. Yakudas.
Yakudash, Kabad Tabat,
Badaba.
Kabad Dabar,
Badabar.
Bakar Dum,
Cardon.
Beatrice,
Beatrice.
Nakab Manah,
Kamana.
all of Israel,
All of Israel.
Shirai,
Sabra.
Tazayah,
Tazayah.
Captain Laban,
Kalaban.
Captain Malquad,
Kamakwa. The general.
General.
Commanding General YAHANNA.
Commander YAHANNA,
The general.
generals,
The captain.
captains,
The officers.
officers,
The troopers.
the
The
troopers, the
students.
students,
The sisters.
the sisters,
The children.
the children, all of Israel,
All of Israel.
Kaya Award,
The Yahweh.
Kawa,
Kawah.
all of Israel,
All of Israel.
Paulette,
Paulette.
China,
China.
Kalani,
Kalani.
Zion,
Zion.
Zarabi,
Zarabi.
Benai,
Benai.
Dinah,
Dinah.
all of Israel,
All of Israel.
Yishan,
Hisham.
Ebony,
Ebony. DeAndre.
DeAndre, all of Israel,
All of Israel. Bashim Yahushua.
Bashim Yahushua,
Tawad
Tawad Aman. Bless Israel in English. Lord, in the name of Yahushua,
Lord, name Yahushua.
bless us in Israel,
Bless us in Israel.
in the school.
In school.
Bless, heal, shield, protect
Bless, heal, shield, protect.
loved ones.
I love
In the
them.
name of Yahushua,
Name Yahushua.
thank you.
Thank you.
So be it.
So be it.
Blessed are you, Yahweh,
Blessed be Yahweh.
King of heaven and earth,
King of heaven and earth.
and all things living.
And all things living.
Yahweh,
Yahweh.
name Yahushua.
Name Yahushua.
Listen to us now,
Listen to us now.
right now.
Right now.
See evils and curses,
The leaders of curses.
punishment and destruction
Punishment and
to the
destruction
heathen
to the heathen.
that speak against
That
us,
speak against us.
thy prophets,
Thy prophets.
the teachers,
The
the
teachers.
princes,
The
the
princes.
priests,
The
the
priests.
Israelite brothers,
Israelite
and the
brothers.
school,
And the school.
send evils and curses,
The leaders of curses.
punishment and destruction
Punishment and
to the
destruction
heathen,
to the
and
heathen.
shake loose the treasure
And shake loose the
of the
treasure
rich of
of the
Israel
rich of
that
Israel.
refuse to give to the
That
school,
refuse to give to the school.
force their riches
Force their riches.
to enter thy
To
sanctuary,
enter thy
send
sanctuary.
evils and curses,
To leaders of curses.
punishment and destruction
Punishment and
to the
destruction
Edomites and the Slack, to the Edomites
to the Edomites.
and the nation,
And the nation.
and the drug
And
dealers,
the drug
the
dealers.
court system,
Court
the
system.
prison system,
Prison system.
Planned Parenthood,
Planned Parenthood.
all the governments of our enemies,
All the governments of our enemies.
Edomites, synagogues, and armies,
Amalek synagogues and armies.
Roman Catholic Church,
Roman Catholic Church.
Pope,
Pope.
Islam,
Islam.
Christianity,
Christianity.
Egyptology,
Egyptology.
militia,
Militia.
Ku Klux Klan,
Plus Klan.
Aryan Nation,
Aryan Nation.
skinheads,
Skinheads.
cosmetizers,
High school ties.
gay movement,
Gay
the
movement.
lesbian movement,
Lesbian movement.
spies,
Spies.
works of witchcraft,
Workers of
United
witchcraft.
Space Program,
That's a space program.
Army,
Army.
Navy,
Navy.
Air Force,
Air Force.
Marines,
Marines.
Wall Street.
Wall Street.
Open up the internet.
Open up the internet.
And the airwaves.
And the airwaves.
Cable access channel.
Cable access channel.
And the radio channel.
And the radio channel.
Convict the spirit
Convict the spirit
of any of thy people
of any of thy people
that seek to stop
that
us.
seek to stop
Bring
us.
swift destruction
And bring swift destruction
to all the heathen
to all the
that
heathen
stand in the way.
that stand in the way.
Try to stop us.
All try to stop
From
us.
broadcasting your word
Broadcasting your word
throughout the planet Earth.
throughout the planet
Let
Earth.
loose all the
Let
plagues.
loose all the plagues.
Cause them to go to and
Cause
fro
them to go to and
through the
fro.
earth and consume
Through the
them.
earth and consume them.
Let the plagues take the house of the
Let
thief
the plague shake the house of the
and the murder.
and the murder.
Let Yahweh Shai,
And Yahweh
Michael and Gabriel,
Michael and Gabriel
down to flying saucers,
down to flying
punish
saucers.
all the heathen
Punish all the
that
heathen
come up against
that
us
come up against
as
us.
we speak thy
As we
word.
speak thy word.
Cause we know by all.
Cause we know by all.
That is the angels that have done
That
it.
is the angels that have done it.
Cause we spread through the media.
Cause we spread through the media.
Throughout the whole world.
Throughout the whole world.
Cause the second that come.
Cause we shake it that
In the
come.
name of Yahweh
And
Shai,
then Yahweh Shai.
thank you always.
Thank you always.
So be it.
So be it.
Sorry.
Men of Israel, I.S.U.P.K, Michael, Barak, I.S.U.P.K, Yahweh Shai, Barak, that's on top. Sorry to the sisters.
Right over the left. It's always right over the left. All right? Slide. Right over the left. Correct.
Courtesy salute to the sisters. Men of Israel, I.S.U.P.K, Michael, Barak, Yahweh Shai, that's on top. That's dismissed.